Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine having like a personal phrase book for every common situation you might face. One that doesn't just list words, but, truly captures the rhythm and the cultural nuances of how people actually speak English. That's what we're diving into today. We've got this fantastic stack of sources, really a treasure trove of everyday English dialogues and lessons that go way beyond the textbook stuff.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is how these sources, they sort of zero in on some of the most universal real-life moments. Things like the subtle art of apologizing when you're late or smoothly ordering food, asking for directions confidently, even navigating a doctor's visit, or, handling that sometimes delicate topic of borrowing money.
Right. So our mission for you, the listener, is to pull out the most important nuggets from all this. We want to give you a shortcut, not just to more words, but, well, to confidence, equipping you with those precise, polite, and frankly, practical English expressions you need for these common scenarios. Think of it like your linguistic toolkit for everyday life. Let's jump in. So, okay, picture this. Your day starts, like many do, with the best intentions. But then what happens when that perfectly planned morning, it just hits a snag? We've all been there.
Yeah.
The alarm decides to take an unscheduled vacation, maybe traffic just grinds to a halt, and suddenly you're running late for something important, maybe work.
That's a perfect place to start, because being late, whether it's for a big meeting or just, meeting a friend for coffee, it can feel awkward if you don't have the right words. Our sources really highlight that the key is swift, sincere acknowledgement. The main phrase, of course, is "I'm so sorry I'm late." Pretty standard. You could also vary that a bit with "sorry for the delay" or maybe "sorry I kept you waiting." It's really about recognizing you've used up someone else's time.
I've definitely heard some people kind of over-explain, they launch into this whole saga about exactly what went wrong. Do the sources weigh in on that? Like how much detail is too much?
Oh, absolutely they do. And it's a really crucial point, actually. Giving too many excuses can sometimes sound less sincere, almost like you're trying to dodge responsibility. The sources tend to emphasize a brief, honest reason right after the apology. For instance, "My alarm didn't go off this morning, I'm so sorry." Or maybe, "The bus broke down, really sorry for the delay." That short, concise explanation often carries more weight than a long, drawn-out story. It respects their time, but still gives a bit of context.
Makes sense. Okay, so from unexpected delays to, well, just being in an unfamiliar place, knowing how to ask for and give directions is incredibly useful. It can literally be the difference between making it to your appointment on time and, wandering around lost for an hour.
It really, really is. And this is an area where English speakers generally tend to lean into being helpful. It's almost like an unspoken social contract, you could say. The kind of go-to polite way to ask is usually, "Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to," or maybe, "Excuse me, where's the nearest bus stop?" You could also try something like, "Could you point me in the direction of the library?" It's direct, but still respectful of their time.
Okay. So when someone does offer directions, what are some of the common phrases you're likely to hear? I imagine it's probably more than just street names, right?
Definitely. Yeah, people often use landmarks to kind of orient you. You'll hear the basics like "go straight," meaning keep moving forward, or "turn left," or "turn right" at an intersection.
Right.
But they'll often add things like "it's at the traffic lights," or "it's next to the post office," maybe
Yeah.
across from the big supermarket.
Right.
They're giving you visual cues.
Ah.
And when they talk about distance, it's usually practical, like it's about a 10-minute walk. Our sources also suggest maybe repeating back key parts, like, "Okay, so go straight, then turn right. Got it. Thanks." It just helps avoid misunderstandings and shows you were actually listening.
Good tip. Okay, now let's shift gears a bit to one of life's arguably most enjoyable activities, eating out. But even something pleasurable like ordering food, well, it has its own set of essential phrases to make sure it goes smoothly, help you feel completely at ease.
It does. And what's fascinating here is how really subtle differences in phrasing can make you sound much more natural, more confident when you're dining out. For example, when you arrive, you might be asked, "Do you have a reservation?" And you'll confirm, "Yes," under the name Smith, or whatever your name is.
Okay.
Then, when it's time to order, instead of just like pointing at the menu, the polite ways include things like, "I'll have a glass of water, please," or maybe, "Could I have the grilled chicken?" You're using these slightly more indirect requests, which just sound a bit softer, more polite.
I noticed there are a few options there. You mentioned "I'll have," "could I have," "can I get." Do those have different, connotations or levels of formality?
That's a great question. And the sources do show there are, yes, subtle differences. "I'll have" is very common, quite direct, especially when you've made up your mind. Could I have is maybe slightly more formal, always sounds polite. Can I get? It's a little more casual, but still perfectly acceptable in most restaurants these days.
Okay.
The main takeaway from the sources is that they're all generally polite and clear ways to order. Waiters will often check in with things like, "Are you ready to order?" or "Do you need a few more minutes?" And if you're done ordering for the moment, "That's all for now," is a nice, polite way to signal that. Oh, and for dietary needs, just asking clearly, "Does this dish have nuts?" or "Can I get this without cheese?" is perfectly normal and expected.
Good to know. Okay, from satisfying your hunger, let's maybe move to something a bit more serious, but equally common, visiting the doctor. This one can feel particularly daunting, I think, especially if you're not fully confident in your English. I mean, your health is on the line, and clear communication is just paramount.
It absolutely is. This is really where precision matters a lot, and our sources emphasize being quite direct when you're describing your symptoms. Doctors often start with those open-ended questions like, "What brings you in today?"
Hmm.
Which is really just their way of asking, "How can I help you?" or "Why are you here?"
Right.
So you need to be ready to articulate your symptoms clearly. Phrases like, "I've been feeling very tired lately," or "I've been having stomach pain," or "I have a sore throat." That's exactly the kind of information they need to hear first.
And what about the timeline? I imagine they usually ask about how long you've been feeling unwell.
Yes, that's almost always one of the next questions. They'll likely ask, "How long have you been feeling this way?" Or maybe, "How long have you been feeling sick?"
Hmm.
And your answer could be something straightforward, like "For about 2 weeks," or "Since Monday."
Hmm.
They might also follow up with, "Have you had any other symptoms?" Trying to get a fuller picture.
Makes sense.
And then when the doctor is speaking to you, you'll hear common phrases like, "Okay, I'll check your blood pressure," or "I think we should order a blood test," or "I'll prescribe you some medicine. Maybe just you should get plenty of rest." The goal from both sides is just clarity and understanding, especially when it's about your well-being.
Definitely. Okay, finally, let's tackle a situation that can feel, well, pretty awkward sometimes, but is occasionally necessary. Borrowing money. This isn't just about the words, is it? It's really about trust, social expectations.
Precisely. Yeah, this is an area where those cultural norms around politeness and trust are really critical. Our sources dive into that quite a bit. It's not just what you say, but how you approach the request. And maybe most importantly, how you commit to repayment. Some polite ways to just state your need might be, "I'm a bit short on cash this week," or "I'm a little low on cash right now."
Mm.
Saying something like "I'm broke" is very informal. You'd probably only use that with really close friends.
Okay, so once you've kind of set the stage that you're short on cash, how do you actually make the request without it feeling too demanding or awkward?
Well, the sources offer phrases that really soften the request, sort of acknowledging the imposition. Think about things like, "Could I possibly borrow $20? Or "Do you think you could maybe lend me £5?"
Hmm.
A common softener is something like, "I hate to ask, but could you possibly help me out until Monday?"
Ah, the until Monday part is important there.
Yes, that's key. It immediately sets a clear repayment expectation. Because the next question from the lender will almost certainly be, "Sure, when can you pay me back?"
Mm.
And it's crucial, absolutely crucial, to state clearly, "I can give it back to you on Friday," or whenever it is. The sources really underscore that repaying promptly is just paramount for maintaining trust, maintaining the friendship.
Right.
And if you're on the other side, maybe offering money, you might say, "Look, I can lend you some if you need." Or maybe more informally, "Do you want me to cover it this time?"
Hmm.
Or even, "I'll spot you for now,"
Hmm.
which is very casual, just meaning you'll temporarily pay for them.
So, after covering all this ground, what does this really mean for you, our listener? We've touched on everything from apologies for being late, all the way to asking for a loan, and not just the words, but those subtle layers underneath them.
Yeah, I think it really highlights mastering these practical phrases isn't just about expanding your vocabulary list. It's really about gaining confidence. It's about building clearer communication channels and just smoothly navigating the social landscape in English-speaking environments. These simple phrases, when you understand their proper context and usage, they become powerful tools for everyday life. They can turn potentially awkward moments into, well, opportunities for connection, really.
Absolutely. The beauty of learning these essential everyday English phrases is how they unlock so much more than just the ability to, string a sentence together. They're really keys to a much deeper level of engagement.
Mm-hmm. And this raises, I think, an important question for you to consider.
Mm.
Beyond just the words themselves, how does mastering these practical interactions fundamentally change your experience of a new place, a new culture? How does it allow you to move beyond just getting by and instead to truly participate? It's kind of about building bridges, isn't it? One confident interaction at a time.
Well said. We really hope this deep dive into everyday English has given you plenty to think about and even more to actually practice. Remember, the more you use these phrases in real situations, the more natural they'll feel, opening up a whole world of confident communication for you.